Stories live, stories inspire, stories teach, provoke, and stay forever. And yes, every story matters. After 8 years of telling stories, it gives me great pleasure to launch Storied with an Extraordinary Man. I love this man, admire, respect, look up to, and so do you, and I'm sure so does everyone in this country and across the world. And especially in the last 2-3 years, I'm sure everyone in the startup, if you ask any startup and entrepreneur, who do they want as a partner, as an investor, then everyone would say one name, and that is Mr. Ratan Tata. He's a legend, he's an icon, he's a leader, he's an inspiration, he's a role model, everything combined in one. And today I will ask Mr. Tata questions which all of us as entrepreneurs, all of us as people, and all of us as professionals would love to know. We don't get this opportunity, but today we have. And I will ask Mr. Tata those questions. So join me as I talk to Mr. Tata. Very few people know that you were trained architect, and then you moved from being an architect, you moved to Jamshedpur, to Tata Steel. So you knew what it is to be at a certain place and then completely shift and start from scratch. Yeah. How did you deal with it, and what was the most important learning in a new setup to accelerate your own learning?
It was completely different. I was working in Los Angeles in an architect's office, very happily located, and the change to being on the shop floor in Tata Steel was a change which, on the one hand, quite interesting because you were dealing in awe-inspiring surroundings, hot metal, big furnaces, and in close proximity to danger is, to a young person, quite exciting, but totally different. And so those 2 years were, on the one hand, very tough physically, but very different. And the only thing is you didn't know where you were going in terms of a career. You just didn't understand what was being planned for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you got up in the morning, you did whatever you had to do, and that was it.
Founders realize as they grow that it's very lonely, and things change, relationships, circumstances, everything changes. Did you ever experience loneliness?
Oh, yes.
And how did you deal with it?
I think when you're a founder or you're the chairman or the leader of a company, every tough decision is a lonely decision.
Yes.
And you're very lucky if you're surrounded by people who can provide you with the right type of mentoring and the right type of counseling that take you through that decision. Most of the time it's disagreement on what should be done, and to that extent it's a lonely decision because you have to decide to go against your colleagues and do what you believe is right, or fall in line with what they say, which is often a difficult thing because you should be doing what you believe is right. And conventional wisdom also says that you should be consulting and deliberating something before you do it. So it is a lonely decision.
What anchored you at those moments?
What I just said, you think a great deal about doing what you believe is the right thing. You spend a lot of time because usually those decisions hurt somebody and maybe help hurt one group and help another. So there's always a downside that you have to deal with.
one question which is very common in our Indian context is when kids and babies grow, it's very difficult to separate. And founders soon realize when companies grow, when they start getting professionals, that you have to create that separation. And also, even in large corporates, you have figures who become fixtures. And but you, in your career, in an outstanding, brilliant, sparkling career, created,
Thank you.
Were able to manage that succession. It was a smooth succession. How did that happen?
Well, I inherited when Mr. J.R.D. Tata stepped down when he was almost 90 years old. And he had a string of colleagues, all very notable people who were in their 80s. Some of them had to be helped up out of the car, up the stairs of Bombay House. I still remember one of them, the doors of the boardroom would swing open and he'd be helped by two people who brought him to a seat. He sat him down and he would fall asleep. And so I had this board of directors that would come in, fall asleep, snore, and they would only seem to wake up whenever you wanted some change to be done. You needed their support, they would give you their opposition. So I devised a retirement scheme, which finally got all of them out, but eventually got me out also. So that day came along, and it would have been wrong for me to say that it applied to everybody else but not to me. So I decided that the right thing to do was to call it a day and conform to what we had developed. So.
You've invested in 25 startups. You're making news every day, and everyone in this country is aspiring to have you support their venture. You've met so many companies. What do you think young entrepreneurs today need? And you think that if they work on this, they would accelerate their own companies faster?
It's interesting you ask that, because I've been saying to some of the young people we have been meeting that I'm the one who's going through the learning exercise, because many concepts that are being talked about 5 years ago, if you'd asked me, I would say I doubt that they would be workable or successful, but they are. And so the innovativeness and the imagination of some of the young people is truly inspiring to me, because it shows a new kind of vigor. There's new technology which the digital world brings to the table, and the reach is very different from the brick and mortar. And so it's a totally new, exciting area. It's merit-based. It's not whom you know and who has got you started. So to me, it's a very refreshing part of a new India, which needs to be supported, and I'm learning.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thanks a lot.